Yeah, and the question is about the personal qualities we look for in the executives we place at our various companies. The first thing is we don't usually place them. I mean, they come with them. We don't have anybody to place. So I have the problem occasionally, if somebody dies, or to replace a CEO. But most of our CEOs came with the deal. Clayton Homes, which we're buying, comes with Kevin Clayton running it. We will put no one in there. He will run the place just as before. But in terms of the personal quality, when a seller comes to me with a business, whether it's Clayton or any of the others, Ike Friedman at Borsheim's, Mrs. B at Nebraska Furniture Mart, when they come to me, the first question I have to ask myself, because I'm counting on them to run the place, I have to decide, do they love the money or do they love the business? Now, there's nothing wrong with liking the money. I mean, they all like money, but they've got to love the business. They've got to have a passion for it. Because if I give them a whole bunch of money and they love the money and they don't love the business, no matter what they tell me, 6 months from now they'll be gone. You know, I mean, they'll just all of a sudden say, why am I getting up at 7 in the morning just so I can send a lot of money to Omaha? You know, I mean, it won't work. So they have to love the business. I mean, I want people with a passion for the business. I used to say that I had a one-line employment form, one-question employment form. The question was, are you a fanatic? You know, if you answered yes, you got the job. Because I want somebody who's fanatic about their business. You know, I mean, you want people that love teaching if you're in a classroom. You know, if they don't have the passion for it, it doesn't work very well. So now, if they've got the passion, and our managers do, but not everybody would. The financial operators don't. We've never bought a business from an LBO operator or a financial operator. Because they don't give a damn. I mean, all they want to do is make sure your check clears, and they're gone. And it isn't going to work if we try to buy from them. So we buy from these people who love their businesses. And then really my job is just to make sure that I don't mess it up and create conditions that cause them to quit loving it for some reason. Because they come in loving it. Only I can mess it up. And they care about being treated fairly on compensation, but they don't measure it against everybody else. They don't have a lawyer they're negotiating with me. I mean, I don't have a compensation arrangement with any of these managers that can't be put in one paragraph. You know, and then I go to other companies where they have a lawyer come in and there's 80 pages, you know, and it tells what's happened, you know, how much they get paid at severance if they end up going to jail. You know, and I won't deal with somebody that thinks that way. And, you know, that's fine. There's a self-selection process in terms of who comes to us. There's this invisible filter out there that causes the Claytons of the world, the Al Yoshis of the world, the Ike Friedmans of the world, the Mrs. B's of the world to come to us. When I made the deal with Mrs. B in 1983, Mrs. B had another offer from somebody else that was somewhat higher, and she just said, I don't care. She only owned 20% of the company. She had 4 children, they each owned 20%. She told them, you know, I'm selling to Mr. Buffett. She always called me Mr. Buffett up till when she was 104. In fact, when I'd walk in the store, she'd say, here comes my new young boyfriend, which I don't get that a lot of places, I can tell you. But she, you know, she built this thing. She came over here in 1921 or 2. She landed in Seattle with a tag around her neck. She couldn't speak a word of English. Said Fort Dodge, Iowa. She couldn't communicate. She just had the tag. The American Red Cross got her out to Fort Dodge. And for 2 years, she got no place because nobody spoke Russian or Yiddish, actually. And so she moved to Omaha just to be around some other Russian Jews who she could at least talk to. She learned the English language when her oldest daughter, Frances, would go to school and come home at night and teach her the words. And she started out and she started sending $50 at a time over to Russia to bring her siblings. She had 7 siblings, and her mother and father to get them over here. After 16 years, she brought all the family over. She saved $500 in 16 years, you know, peddling used clothing, whatever. And she started in the Nebraska Furniture Mart with that $500. And it's now the largest home furnishings complex in the world. And it all came from the $500 and a very, you know, special woman. And can you imagine building something like that and selling it, you know, to some financial operator who's going to resell it, you know, and try and go public with it a couple of years later? And you know, it meant something to her. She wanted it to continue like it has continued. And those are the kind of people we want to attract. It isn't so much me selecting them as them selecting Berkshire. I mean, that's the key. And And frankly, we've gotten to that position in this country where the people that do care about their businesses, good-sized businesses, there's no second choice besides Berkshire. We get them. You know, they come to us. We had a woman, Doris Christopher, come to us last year. Doris Christopher, in 1980, had 2 little girls, lived in Chicago, lived in a probably $20,000 house, and she and her husband both worked. She's looking for something to do to make a little extra money. She thought about catering and decided that it would take her away from the kids too much. So she decided that what she knew best, though, was she'd been a home ec teacher. She knew cooking, and she knew the kitchen and what was useful to people. So she borrowed $3,000 on her life insurance policy. That's all she had. She went down to the merchandise mart in Chicago and said, what's the least amount of this utensil or that utensil a manufacturer would sell, usually a dozen. And she took them home, and then she had the idea that she would hold these parties, essentially, in people's homes. And so she arranged with a woman in suburban Chicago to hold the first party. She almost turned back. She started driving there. She thought, oh, they'll laugh at me and I'll knock the stuff over and they won't buy it. You know, what you do. She's very unsure of herself. But she went there. She sold, I think, $175 worth of goods that night. She sold me her business last year, and that business made $140 million pre-tax from this $3,000 investment. You know, that woman had a passion for her business, and she understood her customer, and she loved her customers. She loved the people that worked with them. She got 67,000 associates. It's called the Pampered Chef. Some of you may have been to a Pampered Chef party. And almost 1 woman out of 10 in the United States bought something from us last year. And now, unfortunately, I have to acknowledge that she probably didn't understand accounting that well, but she understood her customer and she understood people, and she likes people. You know, I met her one time, but when she wanted to sell her business, there wasn't anybody else to sell to as far as she was concerned. She came to Omaha. We made a deal in a few minutes. The compensation deal took us 15 seconds. She's running the business. I've never been there. They're in Chicago. I hope they're there. I mean, we paid a lot of money for this. I mean, someday we'll buy a business and there'll just be some guy in a closet someplace saying, what figure shall I send Warren this month? But I've never been there. I've met her and I've seen the results of what she's done, and she is in love with the company.